to Phoenix seemed like it was just a lot to do in that short time. Yeah. Hopefully it goes well for folks, though. Hello, Sergio. Hey, Rayanne. Great to see folks popping in with us to take a look at what's coming. Hello, Bud. Hello, Bud. Bud was our presenter last week, folks. It's good to have Bud back again.
That's right. That's right. Bud shared last week with me that I asked folks to let us know where they were coming from, and he said that much more interesting is to ask folks what they were doing 5 minutes ago. So if people want to humor Bud again this week, let us know in the chat what everyone was doing 5 minutes ago. See if we have some interesting answers this time.
That's great.
No, not picking on you, Bud. I thought that was a great idea. Eating nachos. There's no way. That was the answer that someone gave last week. There's no way Bud was eating nachos 5 minutes ago.
Maybe Bud just has nachos all the time. I don't know. Right.
He planned it. He knew I was going to ask that question again and decided to have nachos right before this.
No doubt.
All right. Let's see. We are at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
So if you're all set on your end, I will hit record and we can get started.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to another GoDaddy Pro Makers of the Web meetup. My name is Marcus Burnett, and I am on the GoDaddy Pro team. And with me today, I have a special guest who I get to work with on a daily basis, Courtney Robertson. Courtney is a web dev advocate and part of the WordPress training team and like 50 other titles. How are you doing today, Courtney?
I'm good. Some of those other titles include the WordPress Community Collective, where we're working on ways to fund contributors as well. Yeah, just a lot of effort into involvement in WordPress from how can we all contribute to make this better, whether we are contributing by looking at today's test or whether we're contributing by funding contributors. Let's do something together.
Yep, tons of work being done on your end, internally and externally, just to kind of help connect contributors with contribution opportunities. And I think that's super awesome.
Yeah.
Today, you're going to be talking to us a bit about what's coming in WordPress 6.2, which I know is, well, a couple weeks out from being officially released.
It is.
So, yeah, it's time for us to take a look at what's coming and to do some testing and to make sure that everything is good to go. So I'm going to let you get started on that in just a moment. I do want to let people know, those of you that are joining us here, this is being recorded. So if you want to share this with folks later on with your team or anybody else, that we'll have a replay available for that. And also, we have the chat open, so if you have any questions along the way, just please go ahead and toss those in the chat, and we'll probably go ahead and answer those as we go along and see what we can get answered for you. So with that out of the way, Courtney, I am going to let you share your screen and walk through some of the things that are coming in WordPress 6.2. Sounds
good. Hi, Rob Carnes in the background. Great to have you with us as well. So today, like Marcus said, we're talking about WordPress 6.2. Before I turn on screen share, March 28th is our go date. So you can expect to see releases coming out on March 28th. We're on track for that. Right now, we are at release candidate 2 that shipped yesterday. So in WordPress, we have all of this work, a lot of it happening in the Gutenberg project in particular, less so in other parts of the software. So every other week, Gutenberg plugin ships an update. They get like 10 of those things done, and then they merge it to core. And that is our process for creating beta releases. And by the time we hit beta 1, things are pretty well solidified. We're up to release candidate 2, When we switch from beta to release candidate, that means that we're at code or string freeze. That means we are not adding any more features. We are hoping that this is a hard freeze, but we're still bug testing as we go. I will say that if you want to really have a voice or a say in this thing is weird or that thing's wrong, we should be doing a lot of that work back in the Gutenberg plugin before it makes its way to core. Because by the time we hit the point we're at now, it's not fair for us to say, why did they do this or that, when we could have taken part in testing these things. And so just sharing kind of a big holistic perspective of release cycles and what that looks like and what that means. So I'm glad that you're here for testing today. It is really important that you do some of this testing work not on a live site. I'm about to give us all links and we could use that for testing purposes. Do not do this on a live site right now because we don't want to have sites breaking, obviously. We'll test first using, I'm giving us a link for a beta or RC version. And now I'll turn on my screen share with all of you. I will say, let's get this window and you'll see how fast this spins up. I just love the service. It is from InstaWP. I have the link in my browser. As soon as I hit go, you can see that here we are. Here is the site. It is spinning up really quickly. Now, I clicked it first before most of you. So the first time someone loads up a site after I've saved this, it takes a moment or two. So this gives us a safe place to play with this. This was given to us by InstaWP. They provided the same link for the WordPress training team, marketing, etc. We share it around for internal testing. Most of you will probably get through this a little faster. Just know that the fine print says we've got 4 hours with this site. You'll see the magic login button and we're off to the races. What I've just given us, and you're welcome to please test with me, is we have a version of WordPress that if you look in the lower right corner says that it is on WordPress 6.2 RC2, which means release candidate 2 is already in there. Inside of this, to give you an idea, there are lots of plugins that you can use for your own testing purposes. I've already got a lot of the frequent developer tool kind of plugins that are in here. Along with these things, the only thing that you will see on and active is the WordPress beta tester. The WordPress beta tester plugin is what gives us over in tools, beta testing, the settings that we need to pull in the latest beta or RC version of WordPress. So the link that I gave you is pre-configured to already do this. Every time we have a release candidate or a beta release update, I update this thing and everybody can feel free to make use of this link. So it's an amazing way to test just new features. And if you want to add like a free plugin from the repo to test other things with it, you can. For the scope of today, we're only going to look at WordPress core features themselves and what's shipping coming up. So please, by all means, ask questions along the way. But having this safe space to make a mess of is better than doing it on a live site. Don't want to break things on a live site. So I will be following this set of directions today from the test team in WordPress. We have 21 different teams in WordPress. And the test team put together a fantastic resource of step-by-step, let's test these things. And this will give you a good overview of the features that are coming out. If you are a dev, want to dig into the code areas that are changing more behind the scenes, less user side, I would direct you over to the field guide as a good resource for that as well. So to get started, I'm going to jump right on in. I've got my beta site set up. And I've got my directions that are here. Now, I've done this a time or two, so I may not read everything that's on this page, but that's okay. The first thing that we're going to see is we should check out Site Editor is reimagined. Okay, let's see what's new in the Site Editor. And I will go to Appearance, Editor. Let me zoom in as much as I can the screen without making it go to mobile size. Notice anything different here?
While you're getting there too, I just want to let everyone know that the links that you've shared in the chat, I'm going to make sure that I include with the recording, with the email that goes out and stuff too. So if you miss those in the chat or you're checking this out after the fact, there should be links kind of to the left, right, bottom, somewhere around this video for you to click on as well.
Hey, Naisha. So above in the chat, you'll find a couple of links that are there for testing purposes. Please do feel free to join in. First thing that you see here, anyone notice what's different? It's a guessing game beside the word editor there. There used to be a label there.
Seems to be missing a tag that was red, like a notification.
Yeah, the beta label's gone. We're in the scope of where we are in Gutenberg. We are nearing the end of phase 2. Some may say this might be the last release, technically of phase 2. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but we'll see. So we've been at this for 5 years doing Gutenberg. We started with Gutenberg in the posts and pages areas. Then we moved on to a little bit of Gutenberg in the widgets area, and then jumped into Gutenberg in the themes area. And that's really been what a lot of site editor phase 2 has been about. We're heading into collaboration like Google Docs commenting. So they're taking the beta label off of the editor, saying we're ready for this to be considered not beta now. Rob spots it. Beta tag's gone. Next thing that you see here is a little bit different than before. In fact, in the background, I will insta-WP set up a launch. I want launch question T equal current stable. There we go. So if you want to compare, I don't want to confuse people, so I'm not going to give out the magic login link for current stable. But if I take a look at site editor here, we start seeing some differences. We've got this experience where I could click on this and get into it, but I'm not tossed directly into a blinking cursor edit mode like I was before. And I've got this left-hand panel that's here. A couple of days ago in RC1, we had a navigation section up here. You could go look on the core team site why we had to pull that out of this release. There were some things that were not quite ready yet. So in 6.3, we'll probably see this area that says navigation at the top. But I could see templates that are here. And in the templates, I believe it is an alphabetical listing that we're seeing the information showing here, which makes it really weird to put 404 error messages first. But in this, you could select which template you want to get in and edit. So if you're familiar with the WordPress template hierarchy, you understand that you need to set up like your index page as your, what's my absolute fallback default layout, and on and on. And then you come around to home, and home is what this is set as at the moment. So if I jump in and hit home, now I am presented with a description of it and a pencil icon. If I want to get out of here, I still have that arrow. And if I want to go back to the WordPress dashboard, I would click what looks like the WordPress logo. This is your site logo. And if you haven't defined a site logo, it's going to put the WordPress logo there. So I would, to get back to the dashboard, just to show people, I would select that WordPress logo. Now that I'm in the dashboard, I'm not going to use the WordPress logo to go somewhere else. It doesn't work like that. Sorry, I know it's kind of confusing. So I'll go back in, appearance, editor, and I'm showing along with this just to make sure that folks are clear what's going on with this, practicing it a couple times. So I jumped in and I see that this is a little bit different. Hey, Adam. Glad to see Adam in here too. Cool, glad my screen's working. And I'll show us also, here are template parts. So it's about the same idea, templates and template parts. We see that we've got this little pop out area as well that we can start to dig into things, or you can click on, in here and jump right on in. I like that animation that we see in there. I'm going to turn on, actually, I'll point it out while we're here. At the top of the screen, you see this purple that's here. That's a little different too. If I were to turn on my list view, you see that our template parts are showing up in bright purple. I see bright purple right here. And that is to show us that these are template parts. These are parts that are used across multiple spots on our site. Our header and our footer are common template parts. So I see that that is going to display. And other template parts would also show up as purple as well, just to sort of identify that those what those are. One of the things that we see that's coming out is a sticky block. So we can start making our blocks sticky. But the first thing that everybody seems to ask for with sticky blocks is, oh, I want to make my navigation bar sticky. So let's take a look at, we'll do a practice run through of a few of those steps that are coming in this release. I'm going to select inside the header, expand my group, expand my row, get to navigation. And the navigation block is something everybody is still like, oh, we got to get some help with this. This is the one spot in the Insight editor that I think everybody is still saying, let's get some help with that. Yeah, it definitely, having that purple will help it jump out, Adam. I definitely agree. So I'm going to show us a few things by practicing to make a sticky nav bar. The first thing is our settings. We have to expand our settings. So I've selected my navigation. I'm going to expand my settings on the right side. And you'll notice that because I'm on the navigation block, I've now got 3 different options showing me under this. That settings icon has also changed. So in the past, that used to look like a little cog. And now it's kind of to denote that the left or the right side of my screen is going to fly out. So if I see that that icon is there, that shows me the right side of my screen flies out. They do not plan to use a mirrored version to show me that the list view will fly out. I'm not sure where the decisions are with that, but the settings area, expand that panel. And because I have the navigation block selected, this gives us a really good chance to see what they're doing differently in the settings panel. So inside this settings panel, I see that it looks like a mini version of the list view right here about the navigation menu. I see that there is a settings icon as well, like the old style of the settings icon. And I see also that we have some styles that are there. Before we can actually explore what those do, we actually need a navigation menu, right? Still that problem. Well, I just happen to have one because this version of a site that I've set up for all of us has the old theme unit test data. If people have been in WordPress for a while, you know about the theme unit test data. It spins up, a pile of posts and images in your media libraries and pages, and it happens to have some old navigation menus in it. So I'm going to select here where it tells me, again, remember, in list view, I have the navigation block selected. I'm in the settings area up here. So I've gone navigation, then settings. I see these 3 things. And below it, to the right of the word menu, is what's called a kebab menu, like you're eating a kebab. So those 3 dots that are stacked show us how to import some of those old menus we have on our site. So I will select, not all, those are big menus. Let's go with short. So now if I zoom my screen back out just a smidge, you'll see that we have, I have to go back out a little more. There we are. You'll see that we have a navigation menu up there. Cool. And now if I wanted to, I could see that I've got that list view showing me, here are the items. I see Bud Man's here too. Fantastic. I've got both Buds that I know from WordPress training team along today. It's great. So I've just imported one of the old menus. And within this, I can click and drag things around to reorder them if I would like to do that. From the settings area, you'll see that I can change justification and positions and what the mobile looks like and all that. And in the styles area, I could go wild and say, I want to change, let's make it bigger, right? Or maybe not so big. I don't know. So you could get in and adjust your settings, your style settings from inside the settings menu area now. That's a lot to say, a lot to explain. So, all right, we have a navigation menu assigned. Next thing that I want to do is I still want to make this sticky. How do I go about making this sticky? This is where it gets a little tricky. We do have sticky block positioning. It will work on other blocks. I personally don't use sticky positioning for anything other than a navigation menu ever. And I'm not sure who does. So the trick this time on the release to get sticky positioning working on a navigation block is to toss it inside of a group. So now I've selected my header. I'm going into the group block. And I select my group. And it's silly that you have to do it this way, but you do. So I toss my header inside of a group. And then I say position. And let's make it sticky. So now I have a sticky block. So we can get our sticky nav menus in there. In future releases, they are hoping to work on the fact that you don't want to put your header inside of a group to make it sticky. So what that did is that save my things, and I will go view my site. And now you see my navigation menu that I haven't really styled. So this is bad design, right? We're having text on text. You wouldn't want to do that. But you get the idea. The navigation menu, the whole header is sticking. So that's a little bit of a hack workaround this release, but at least you could do it. So just kind of be aware of that. Yes, Adam, we do need the meatball menu. Everybody that's in this room, I think, has probably heard of my manager, Adam. And Adam's favorite food to recommend for events is meatballs. So I would like all of you in the chat to bombard Adam with meatball suggestions any and every time you see him from this point forward, ever. There you go. He likes meatballs. So there we are. So we have a sticky nav menu at the top of the screen. That's fantastic. So again, we tossed it in a group. And then we went to the group's settings and down to position and set it to sticky. Ta-da! Now we have sticky nav menus. People have been wanting that for a while. Marcus, do you know of any other big requests that people have had from the site editor from this point forward? Like, give me that feature. See if you could guess where I'm going with this idea. If you want to tweak something, but they don't give you the settings to do that yet in the site editor, what do you usually throw at WordPress to tweak something?
You got to write a little bit of style code, I think.
You do. Absolutely. Yeah. So if I said I wanted some feature.
But where?
Exactly. Where is that CSS going? Exactly. So in the past, people have used other plugins that allow you to inject some custom CSS and things in places. There's a couple good ones that are out there. I think WP Snippets might be one of the ones, something called Snippets that I've used. We have a way without needing to go with all of that these days. So I will jump to the styles area to show us a couple of our next features. In the styles area, the hot item that everybody is clamoring for, we're going to use this meatball skewer again, the kebab menu. I've gone to styles. That looks like the semicircle at the top. And I've got this kebab menu. And inside of it, I can see the welcome guide. That's like the Gutenberg pop-up welcome to Gutenberg block, like, no, I don't need to see that again. Or I could go to this additional CSS. And here you've got a place to go put all your custom CSS. Ta-da! So that's one way to do it. But the way that the page builder community tends to do it, tacos. Yeah, we're back to food here, people. I love this. The way that let me jump back out of the CSS area. So again, that was under the kebab menu and additional styles. But let's say that you only want that CSS to apply to one specific block and not be all over your site everywhere. Well, to do that, we could go into, let's say, if I wanted to apply typography, text, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, nope, I'm sorry. I lied, folks. Let me go back to blocks, singular, like go into the blocks area. And inside of the blocks area, I'll do that slow since I just brushed through that. I was in general styles, go to blocks. I will go pick a block out. I'm going to pick, for a couple purposes, I'm going to pick out the singular button. In the singular button, you see at the bottom, we have this additional CSS block. So you can apply CSS to one specific block if you would like to do that now. And you're like, great, but in the page builder world, with all these different page builders, as soon as I go applying CSS to some specific element, could be in Beaver Builder's version of templates or something like that, and maybe you're applying custom CSS to those areas. If you do that to too many of them, it's really hard when you come back later, even if it's your own work, to find out where did I go put that custom CSS, because I put it into one block. This release, we're not going to see it yet, but probably by next release, there'll be some tooling to give us a list of all the blocks that have custom CSS applied to them so that you can see where did all that custom CSS work go. So that's coming. The next thing wouldn't it be nice is that additional CSS pulled in the names of elements, etc., like DevTools. That would be, Adam, sometimes you can see in, this is not a good example of a place for this, but you can actually get in and see and name things, name your class IDs for CSS in a lot of the features. Oftentimes when you get to give it class IDs, that's going to be hidden under your block settings area in specific layouts. So I'll see if I can jump back to that in a little bit. You also see, I picked up the singular button block for a specific reason. we can now do box shadows. Yay! It only works on some blocks at this time. It's not on all the blocks. Again, future release, more blocks will get the shadow feature. But when I go into shadow, I could pick for my button different types of shadows. So you see the preview at the top is changing to show what my buttons would look like with that effect applied to them. So in the past, I wanted box shadows around my WP query loop. I wanted to have my query loop show post previews on my personal website, and I wanted a box shadow behind the thing. I would still have to go apply that custom CSS somewhere to make that effect happen at this time. But now I have, at least for buttons, I can use some of the shadow options that they've provided. So at this time, but they're not giving us too many choices to change those shadows. I think the first thing is let's just ship box shadows for things. And this is on singular button, not to be confused with the group of buttons, plural. So on a singular button, you style that button. Buttons plural is how do all the buttons look laid out together if you've got 3 buttons in a row or something like that. So we do get to see some box shadow options available. If you think that you want to see more previews than what you can tell at the top here on the right side, we can go to this new eye icon. It's watching you. No, not really. This is the style book, and style book gives us a preview and a nice quick display. So this is under styles and then that eye icon, and it's going to give you previews of all of the way that things would look. So this is just filler text that's in here. But you could see how media would preview, how widgets and design and themes would preview in here too. So you can see here is the style I've applied to that shadow. If I drop it, there we go. You see that not only is it changing here, but I see it laid out as well, how it looks in plural buttons. So the style book is pretty handy. It's a good way when you're running through a lot of your settings to jump around at, give me an example of where that is and show me exactly that. I can jump over to this text area, and in the headings, I could say, I want to change my color to something else. Let's go with dark green. Let's pick the dark green option that's there, or another one. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want, of course, well, links, that's why. Let's try this. There we go. Go back. Text. There we go. Now we see the green applying. So I can take a look using the style book at many things all at the same time, which is pretty handy. And that's also really, really new. I'm going to do a quick check-in as I'm scrolling through the directions from the help test at some of the other things. I showed us how to use the purple, the style sync.
While we're in a little bit of a break, Margaret asked quite a bit earlier. It's scrolled up on all the way now, but I jotted it down. If we edit a template part, do the already existing template parts adjust now?
Good question. So I'm going to hit save where I am. And what she's asking is if I jump back to template parts, maybe I'll go into my footer. This is my footer template. Okay, let's edit that. And she's asking if we want to edit this. This actually gives me a chance to perhaps add in something else. Let's go down to widgets. Let me see how there was a way to import our old widgets. I'll just stick some columns in for now. And so if I were to add in, let's see, text, let's just stick a paragraph in and I'll say hi. Hi, there we are. Hit save. There's my test. Save it. Now, if I jump back and look at my home, templates, home, yeah, there we are. And I scroll down, I see my hi. So I was editing it in the template parts area, but now I see it's applied to other areas. So I think that would work, Margaret, but if I didn't quite test it completely the way you were expecting, let me know. that did call to mind, something I should show us, is that if I'm looking at all of my templates, I want to highlight, this came out actually last release, but some improvements have been made on it this time. You can now create a custom template right from inside Site Editor for custom post templates. So when people make custom posts, maybe you are rolling your own events. You want to add something that looks and acts like a post, but you're going to call it events and you want it to be separate from the posts. Well, that's when you use a custom post type. And so you can make a custom template, give it a name. We'll call it Marcus, and we'll hit create. Great name, huh? So there is my layout for my new post template area. And it gives us some content that's already filled in. That's one of the perks this time around. In the past, that would come out totally blank. It wouldn't have the header or the footer or anything in it. So now that's been filled in for us. So we have more that's there. So we've got a custom post template already designed, and you can manage it all within this templates area. So it's easier to get to this way around, I would say. Yeah. All right. Other things to help. We did our sticky positioning, Openverse. Yeah, let's take a look at some features that are inside the post editor. So I'm going to use that WordPress icon and jump back to the main dashboard. From this main dashboard, if I go into posts, we see a couple of fun things that are inside of posts that would apply to us. So I'll hit add new to make a new post. And we're going to call it, I don't know, media, because there's a couple things media-wise that I'm going to show us. So in the past, if you wanted to add some images that are here, you would have to do like a insert image and go find the thing. And it would always look like this. We have some new goodies that are here. You're stuck in the post editor, bud. Can I help you get unstuck? So you're over here in the posts. I'm just double checking bud, mans. While I'm looking, I'll watch for Bud's comment to come in. When I am in just I'm stuck. Oh, Bud, let me help you there. I'll do a quick jump again there. Appearance, editor. I'm catching back up to where Bud is. So we made our custom template, right? And so there's my template. After you've made that, Bud, what I just did was to hit the WordPress icon in the top left. That is our jump back to the normal WordPress dashboard. If you ever upload a different site logo, then that will take you back out there. And from there, I just made a new post. Yeah. Yeah, there's some good chat going on. Thanks, guys. Makes me smile. All right, so I'm just in this create a new post. In the top left, I'm going to hit the blue plus icon, and we'll start seeing some things show up differently. So the blocks all look like they kind of have for a while. Here's our different types of blocks we can insert. But we have a new layout for patterns. So in this patterns area, I can see that they've organized the patterns to display a little differently. And I also have a choice to explore all patterns. When I select any one of these things, I see that I could get in and see what some of these different patterns look like in this scrolling effect. So that's kind of new. And when we get into the query loop patterns that are here like this, these query loop patterns they've added more. So not only have they organized this and created this nice slide out effect, but they've added more patterns to default WordPress core. So those are things that you can get into and explore around on your own time. But they've also added this one for media. So the media area lets us add media differently than what we saw before. All of the images that are in here are because I pre-configured this theme for everybody. I've pre-configured this entire site. So I've given you some media assets that come with the theme unit test data. The same thing is true with the video that comes in with it and also the audio. So you've got some media that's part of your site already in the database now to play with. But also we've got Openverse. And I'm going to search for an image in Openverse to test with. So I'm going to go look for a Wapuu. And this first one that shows up is actually our coworker in disguise. This is Sandy Edwards. This photo is of Sandy dressed up as Wapuu, which is fantastic. So if you're not familiar yet with the Openverse project, it is part of WordPress. Openverse.org is part of WordPress. I'm taking a slight detour while I'm there, but if you could find your way just back to making a post, that would be fine. So Openverse is this project. It is a search engine for Creative Commons licensed media. Marcus is part of our photos team in WordPress. The photos team media can be found if I go to wordpress.org/photos, and let's see if we can, between the two of us, Marcus, let's see if we could clarify this. So Marcus, can you tell me very briefly what the photos repo is or does?
Yeah, absolutely. So the WordPress photo directory is a collection of photos contributed by other people in the WordPress space. And it actually houses all of the images that you see versus the Openverse project, which is more of a search index for Creative Commons licensed images and audio. But all of these are just being pulled from a couple dozen sources of Creative Commons imagery across the web. So to get to any of these, you'll actually get them from their original sources, where the WordPress photo directory actually houses the images and is one of the sources for Openverse as well.
Absolutely. But the thing is, nobody wants, when you're making a post, you don't feel like leaving your site to go find the thing, right? So what we can do these days is inside of the post, we went to that blue plus, we went to media and selected Openverse down below and did our search. And I could be like, yeah, let's put Sandy in here. Uh-oh, we've got an external image warning. Nye and I and Sari were discussing what we call a group of wapoos, and we need a good term for this. Wapooligans might be our new term for like a flock, a horde, I don't know, whatever a group of wapoo is Nye is proposing wapooligans. I like that.
As long as it's not like crows and it's a murder, because a murder of wapooligans sounds very, very ominous.
No. So this message comes up these days when I go to insert an image here. When you are inserting Creative Commons licensed media, there's a couple concerns. If you are inserting this from some other source, you could try to put it in your own library. However, then you run the risk, if somebody claimed that it was open source and it was not, that you're housing that media and then you legally could be responsible for that media. Some people will swipe the photos off of other paid for media services and go stick them somewhere and falsely claim that they are Creative Commons licensed. So you run a risk if you put it into your own media library doing that. So the solution is to let the user ultimately decide. But the way that WordPress is going to opinionate itself, which is the one rare case where I could think this is possible, is by hot linking. Hot linking is normally frowned upon because you are pulling media that is not hosted on your own site into your own site. Like you're displaying it on your site, but you're not hosting it. And normally we don't do that in web dev, but this is a use case that it might be appropriate. So they're just giving us a warning message for now that sort of indicates this is the concern and what you need to do to choose it. So I'm going to say insert. And while we're here, gee, Sandy looks like she's pretty happy in this one. I'm going to do some styling on this one. So maybe I want to add in, let's see, there's under this advanced atom, there is a place for additional CSS classes. That's one of the spots I was mentioning it when you might see. So down here, you could add some additional CSS classes. I'm going over to the styles area. So I've expanded inside of a normal post, the settings, and I'm going into styles, making my image rounded, making it have a border. I'll give it some kind of a, if I want a radius, I could give it a radius. I'll just, where were we? There. Give these some nice, really rounded edges. That's great. Okay. So now we have this image of Sandy as Wapoo. And I'll go down and add in one more. Let's go get one more image. And now I'm going to show us what else this can do. So I'm going to add one more image. We'll find another Wapoo. Openverse Wapoo. And I want this one and I will insert this. This one was taken by my friend Shusei, who I got to know actually at WordCamp Asia. That was fantastic. Shusei took this photo actually before the event happened, but I could see, like, I think this might be part of my hotel over here. I don't know. So I want to apply the same effect that we see on this image to the one below. I want the same rounded corners and border or something. So we have a way now that we can apply our styles from one block to the other block. So I will copy styles from the top option. I selected that block. I went to the kebab meatball menu. These people in the chat today, copy styles, and again down to the next image with the meatball kebab menu, and paste our styles right on in. Paste. It's being slow for me. Hold on one second. Do I want to allow? Yes, I want to allow. And paste that. Oh, let's try one more time. I didn't answer my browser. Do I want to allow it to copy? Copied. Go down and paste styles. There we go. I need to read my alerts on my screen a little better. Yes, Adam wants the meatball menu at restaurants. Yes, this is true. So we'll get these off my screen. So you see that I very quickly applied the style from one thing to another inside of a post. That works if you're not wanting this to be a permanent style available site-wide, but maybe within a post. Maybe you're making a landing page and you want to style things on that landing page a certain way or something. You can actually now apply those styles in several places. And that's kind of the idea behind that one. So that's pretty cool. Let's do a look, and I'm wide open for questions. I see that we're having some people saying things are frozen. Is it my screen that's freezing, or just checking on where that one is?
Yeah, the screen share itself has had a couple of folks seeing it frozen, but a refresh seems to be fixing that for the most part. So we'll check into that for the next event, but it seems that right now a refresh is the way to go to get that fixed.
Yeah, got it. All right. One of the little features that might be fun to call out is this apply block styles globally. So I'm jumping back to site editor, out of posts, go to appearance editor, and let's say I pick some block and I want to double check my directions on this feature. We can watch the video to remind me. Let's see. Dig into some block. Yeah, they're making a change. And this is from the test post. Go to styles, advanced. That's where it's hiding, under settings styles. So to see that a little more slowly, I am going to go to, let's see, some of the blocks you see have the styles area broken out and some do not. If they don't have it broken out yet, it's okay. Remember I said about how this had like 3 tabs when I looked at the navigation block, and this just header block doesn't have that yet. It just means somewhere in the block settings, in settings for that block, somewhere in here, whether behind a tab or just in the block itself, we have this apply globally. So if you have made a change inside of site editor, like I'll give it a background color. Ooh, what not to do, right? Don't do this. Don't design like I design. So I've changed my background color, and now I want to apply that to everywhere that's got a heading. Oh, this is going to be great. So if you see this apply globally option here, that means it's now going to apply everywhere that there's a heading. So anytime I'm on something that has a heading. And just to test that out, let's go to some other template and see if that did that. Let's go to single. Oh, it must not. I must have picked a slightly different block. Double check on home what that block was. Edit that. And if I think that this is the wrong thing, then I will do heading. Yeah, I might have to test that because it didn't apply that background everywhere. That's fascinating. This apply globally will apply the block's typography, spacing, dimensions, and color styles to all heading blocks. So I would assume that that should have shown up over on single. Good thing I found this in a recorded version, and I will make sure that we come back and test that out later. Will this new update be available for the current GoDaddy website builder? Carson, this is available for GoDaddy WordPress-powered sites and or all WordPress-powered sites. So I don't know that a feature like this will apply inside of websites and marketing if that's the tool that you're using. Just as
it sounds like Carson's asking about the website builder product itself, which isn't WordPress based. So this will just be applying to WordPress sites within GoDaddy.
Yep. Good question, though.
Or anywhere, any WordPress sites.
Mm-hmm. Shared copy block styles, custom CSS. We did some stuff with the shadows, and it tells us where to go to report feedback. So in the side of this post, if you're like, oh, I think I found a bug, like something I just did, you want to go over to the alpha or beta forums to share some of that. Before I open up completely for Q&A, I'm going to highlight what's going on in the field guide and what I think maybe plugin and or theme devs should know about. So the field guide is more the developer behind the scenes, less the user interface, more the code side. So this is just a very quick overview of that. You can scroll through and see all of these different things that are here. I know a lot of people are excited about the HTML API and also pay attention if you're a React-based dev to some of the changes coming that will impact perhaps some of the code in your plugins and or themes. We talked about a lot of those things. There are some specific dev-oriented things at tapping into those features. The browser inspector tabs, that was with the navigation block when I showed us that we had 3 tabs inside of that settings area. So that's something that if you are a plugin or theme developer, particularly plugin developers, you might have blocks that you're creating that you want to tap into having that tabbed effect in the settings. This is the article that you would want to read for that. There are some other really good tips that are in there. Patterns API expanding, miscellaneous, and then some more things about, we're starting to see a shift with fonts where people that are making themes are storing their fonts local to the theme. And we do have a fonts API coming out, which will help move Google Fonts to your own server, to your own website hosting plan. That helps performance, and it also helps GDPR issues. So if you're pulling fonts in that come from Google Fonts, taking them from Google Fonts and putting them into your local sites is the direction forward to get past GDPR concerns and also make your website a little bit faster. There are some changes for internationalization when we want to have WordPress appear in different languages. Some other goodies that were in here. Down below, there is one that I thought was not getting as much attention perhaps as it should be. It is a, I think, 10-year-old ticket. Inside of it, it is the WP Mail option. And this allows when you are having attachments that get emailed, some more settings, more ways to name things. So there are a lot of plugins like event tickets that I used to work at that will ship, that will send an email that has ticket information in it. And this is perhaps going to apply to some folks like that. So there are a lot of goodies for plugin theme devs that I would suggest spending some time reading through all of this code-oriented stuff. But that's kind of the quick run through of where we're at. Every Tuesday, we hold a release party during the month, basically. And if you're in North America, we move our clocks in most of our states. So that will be 1 o'clock probably is the kickoff in the Make WordPress Core channel. We just practice running through an update. You get a local version of WordPress and you practice updating it. And if the update doesn't break, you tell people it worked. That's great. If you've got any feedback, both for us about how today's event went and or if you've got feedback about WordPress, do reach out. I can help you log those issues in the right places. Like the post said, you could always go log it in the Alpha Beta forums. If you want to dig into something more specific, I can help you with that as well. And I would be remiss not to say that WordPress training and docs teams are always looking for people that want to help, especially since I have a couple of training and docs team folks in our room today. We're always looking for help getting all of our resources as current as we possibly can. So the way that I showed you to test today, we use that same place to take our images, our screenshots, our videos, so that we can make all of the resources on make.wordpress.org and or learn.wordpress.org and all the other .org places ready on release day. That's good. Any questions I could help people with?
Oh, there's a ton of great content in there. It's good for me to even see. I've seen some of the overviews of a couple of things that are coming to WordPress 6.2, but to really dive in and see a demo and see where all the little buttons and features and everything is hiding and stuff in the settings is really, really great.
For sure. I've given us a link as well to a post that I wrote about the upcoming release. If you want a post to refer back to and broken it down, I actually need to go in and do just a few little updates since we pulled a couple things and add and changed a few spots here and there since I wrote it.
Yep. And like I said at the top, for anybody that missed it, I'm collecting all these links as well to the testing page, the field guide, this link to the article that you wrote, and the
Yep.
InstaWP instance that you have set up for everybody. I'm going to make sure that all of those and anything else that I can gather from you after this session that you think will be helpful for folks gets included with the video replay. So that will
Absolutely.
be available to everyone.
Yep. If you would like, we'll certainly send the replay out of today. But if you would like to join us also on March 27th, the day before release day eve, as I would call it, one of our sponsored Gutenberg developers, Georgi or George Mamadashvili, will be with us on March 27th for the EMEA specific meetup version of this. We can get there. Let me do a quick pull, unless Marcus beats me to the link. Upcoming, let's go to chapters, and I will jump to the GoDaddy EMEA chapter. And we have a similar version to today's, but I'm going to bring alongside with me George Mamadashvili, who is our sponsored contrib to the Gutenberg project. He is also one of the technical release leads this time on 6.2. So by the day before, most of his hard work will be done. He's still triaging through stuff like a madman these days, which is great. He does amazing at what he does. But we're going to bring in one of our Gutenberg devs alongside us for that particular event. That will be a little bit earlier, I think, in the day. That will work better for George's time of day. And also his sanity. This is busy time for a couple of us right now. The day before release should be quiet.
For sure. Yeah, and they'll be able to dive into a little bit more of the dev stuff, like you said. So if this was of interest to you and you're maybe a little bit more on the dev side and want to learn a bit more behind the scenes of some of that, definitely make sure that you check that out. That is not a repeat of this session. That is going to have some new and different and interesting things. So do make sure that you go and check that out. That is at events.godaddy.com. We have any of our past and future events there. So make sure that you register for that. And our replays and stuff are also there from past events. So do go there and check that out. I think that might be the next one, which is in a couple of weeks. We are taking next Wednesday off as our team prepares for WordCamp Phoenix and prepares to travel there. So we are off from our usual Wednesday meetups next Wednesday to prepare for that. But thanks again, Courtney, for coming on and sharing all that stuff. There's a ton of great info in there. I'm definitely going to go back and watch the replay myself just to catch some of the things that I even missed going through it this time.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for coming on and sharing all that with everyone.
Absolutely, yes. I love to help people get familiarized with where they want to go.
Yep, absolutely. All right, that's it for us. Thanks everyone who joined us in the chat as well, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you, Ernesto.
Bye.
See you, everyone.